Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. Today, you're going to hear a portion of my most recent workshop where I talked about the Profit and Impact Flywheel Method and really the power of intentional thinking on purpose, which is what we do here at the Purpose and Profit Club. So please enjoy this process. And if you're like, I want more of this, the best place to go is go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist to get on the wait list when I open up enrollment for the Purpose and Profit Club. If you're listening to this in the future, if you're listening to it when it drops today, we have doors open right now and we close on Thursday. The inner work is the essential foundation to getting to where you want to be. Everything you just typed in where you're like, okay, 6 months from now, even at the end of this session, I'd like to be better than where I started, feel better than where I started. It actually starts with this. And you may be like, no, Christina, I want a template. This is the missing template. Okay, so let's go through this. This is from cognitive behavioral therapy. That's a hard word to say, CBT, which is also, you may have seen this in any kind of self-development or coaching work, but this is really, really essential for you to understand. So right here, you're going to see thoughts or beliefs, things you think, okay? Things you think cause emotions and feelings in your body. Those emotions and feelings in your body have actions or outcomes. Okay. So I wrote down in my notes, like if you've ever been at home alone at night, maybe you're watching a scary movie and you hear like a rustle on the doorknob, what happens in your body? I would argue my body responds before I even have a thought. My body is like, who's there? Right? I jump up because I'm not expecting anyone. I hear a rustle, right? That's a feeling in our body. What's my action from there? I jump up. My thought that really just bypassed and went straight to emotion is somebody's here, I'm not safe, right? So that's really what that looks like. But that's a very like specific emotional example, but we have thoughts all day long. We have thoughts all day long that inform how we feel in our work and inform how we feel and our outcomes that we are getting or not getting. Okay. I've learned this. When I learned this, I applied it to my own business. I applied it to my clients that I coach, and it was like rocket fuel because you're basically plugging into your own internal GPS. This is what I want to accomplish. Ooh, let me think some thoughts on purpose instead. Okay. So the inner work creates our outer results. Now let's look at a fundraising example. Yeah, Nancy says, me last night with a scary audible book. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so at the top, if your thought is, it's impossible to find donors, how would you feel? I would feel insecure, maybe defeated. Like, think about that thought in your body. It's impossible to find donors. That feels heavy, right? Ugh. What would you do from feeling insecure, defeated, heavy? And you can type in the chat if you would have a different feeling, right? One action or a list of actions you would take, maybe doom scroll, right? Make statements that sound like questions. So maybe you're in a donor meeting and you're thinking, this person's already fatigued out. And here's what it sounds like when you make the ask. Ready? Would you consider making another gift? Oh, good. Right? With a question at the end, it goes, right? You ask cautiously. You almost frame things as you wouldn't want to make another gift, would you? Right? Because you're telling yourself it's hard. It's too hard out there. The economy is really hard. Maybe you would get the same gift as last year. Leave quickly. If you're thinking, it's impossible to find donors and you're at an event where there actually are donor prospects, but you're thinking no one wants to hear from me, you're going to get out of that room fast, right? You're definitely not going to go through the follow-up process. If you're with me, type a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. And if you've realized that, I want to hear that from you. Like, okay. All right. Who knows about the Ikea experiment? I see some major ones. That's awesome, Jamie. Okay. When I type in the Ikea experiments, I'm curious, do you have any idea? This is such a fun experiment. Fun in air quotes, but mind-bending fun. Yeah, Andy knows. Okay. Yeah, Andy, you're on the right track. Yes. Okay. So IKEA did this experiment with school-aged children. And no wonder of course you do, Andy. Andy works with kids with girls who haven't encountered bullying. So of course you know this experiment. So what they did with school age children is they have two plants. You know, the plants in Ikea, they're right there. And they decided that they would do A/B test plants and how you treat plants and how you talk to plants and whether or not just talking to plants in any kind of certain way would have an outcome. Okay. So they had two plants. The plant on the left was the plant that got bullied. They literally had this plant in an enclosure, and people would come up and bully the plant. You're dumb, you can't, it's hard, it's probably hard to grow. No, like whatever you might say to a plant, right? Or a person, okay? They gave the plants the exact same amount of water, the exact same amount of light, the exact same amount of soil. You can see the canister is the same, okay? Then they complimented the other plant. They said, you're a great plant, you're a tall plant, whatever you might say to a plant, right? And literally, this is the outcome. This is the outcome. Nothing changed except one plant was talked negative to consistently and one plant was talked positive to consistently. If this blows your mind, give me a one chat. Okay. All other parts were equal. Here's the thing. This isn't like an outlier. Oh, well, Ikea probably set that up and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. No, there are hundreds of studies like this. Okay. The molecules of water change literally depending on how you talk to it. The molecules of water. This is a different study. You can watch YouTube videos for days about this. Okay. Why does this matter? Why does it matter how you talk to a plant? Why does it matter that molecules of water change? It matters because as a fundraiser, as a nonprofit leader, as a nonprofit marketer, you're doing this all day long. The average person thinks 60,000 thoughts a day. I like to double that. I think my mind is like, easily. I go through a lot of thoughts a day. We're not saying them out loud, but we are thinking them. Okay, we're thinking them and then we're believing them as if they're true. And many times we're carrying them around like a heavy cloak or like a ball and chain behind us, or like Beyonce character energy, and we're the complimented plant. And that informs how we show up in meetings. That informs whether or not we book the meeting to begin with or send the email. Okay, all of that matters. And that ultimately matters with the results you get, whether the results you're looking for is funding, whether the results you're looking for is more visibility, press, it doesn't matter, more monthly donors, right? You want to make sure. So here's what it sounds like for a lot of nonprofits. Here's your version of what you're doing without even realizing it. And this is not a judgment. Okay. This is not, you're bad for doing this. This is, by the way, you have a normal human brain. We do this all the time. This is an awareness piece. Okay. So your version may look like, when you haven't done the inner work first, repeating things, consuming things, believing things like it's a bad economy. They only give once a year. This is their max. They can't do more, Christina. This is their ceiling. I love this one because I'm like, how do you know? In most 99.9 times out of 100, it's a hunch. Okay. A hunch is not reality. I'm bothering them if I ask again. I hear this one like it's true. And you can type in your flavor in the chat, or if one of them really resonates with you, I want to hear it. Inflation, Christina, this is a good one. Like, well, inflation, ergo, we cannot ... right? Well, I need a bigger staff to do that. This is a huge one. I don't have enough time, right? Tell me which one sounds like you, or if there's a different one for you. And again, this isn't judgment. This is just awareness, right? The time one used to be one of my favorite ones to repeat. Oh, I don't have enough time. I'm just so busy, right? Okay. This is a good one. They just want to hear and talk from our CEO, not me. I'm so glad you shared that one. That's a great one. I'm not the one they want to talk to, right? We already tried that. Not me, but my ED. Yeah. That's the most they'll give. I'm bothering them. Yeah. When you have those beliefs, whatever your flavor is, or even whatever a board member is repeating to you, or a staffer, colleague, leadership, you literally have two options. You carry them around with you and those bags get heavy, right? Or you can go, not for me. Not for me. And you can send them back. Send them back. You don't have to choose to believe them like it's true. I can find a headline that will tell you that the economy is great. I can find a headline that will tell you it's terrible. I can find a headline that will tell you that the job market is actually better. And I can tell you 3 stories of friends who have been looking for jobs for a while now. Both are true. Okay. I'm not arguing with what's true or not true in that sense. I'm arguing with what do you want to believe and think with purpose to get you to where you want to go. Okay. I'm not good at fundraising. This is a great one. My flavor was I'm not a good writer. I believe that for 10 years, something like that, until one day I was like, that's not true. Why do I believe that? Why am I saying that to myself? When I thought I'm not a good writer, it prevented me from writing. It prevented me from telling stories. It prevented me from writing social posts, writing emails, writing my own content. It literally, that belief kept me small. And it was just a construct I created. That's all. When I was willing to let that one go and say, not I'm the best writer in the world, but like I think I've got a point of view, I've got something to say, and let it be imperfect, everything changed. Okay. So you could be on the left side, which we all have a flavor of, or you can be on the right side. I know the right side fast tracks your goals. Okay. And I also want to say that there are times in everyone's day where we're just going to find like a negative thought, a negative loop, and that's normal. That happens. But we just want to redirect ourselves to the possibility and move over to where we want to be over here. Okay. So how do we do that? What does that look like? The first piece is the awareness piece, just realizing that like that inner monologue is affecting your outer results. The other piece is stop saying it. Stop saying I'm a bad fundraiser. I'm a bad writer. I don't know. That's like a really good one. I'm so busy. Just actually remove that. If you want to like shed that identity, stop telling people that. Okay. So rewiring and choosing thoughts on purpose. This is, by the way, why my program is called the Purpose and Profit Club. My podcast is called that because I want to rethink and choose thoughts on purpose. So for example, if you're thinking this is their max, that's their ceiling, they can't do more, right? Maybe you want to just have some curiosity, right? I've actually never asked. I don't know if they can do more. I won't know until I ask. I'm open to finding out. That's that bridge. It's not like you say, everything is like la la land and rainbows and daisies. And you're like, well, Christina said, instead of thinking this is their ceiling on how much they can give a year, I get to believe they can give trillions of dollars a year. No, but the bridge is I'm open to finding out. The bridge is I'm not carrying around this heavy cloak with me, right? If that's resonant with you, give me a 1 in the chat. That does require any thought you want to kind of leap into requires, okay, I see some ones. Awesome. Courageous action. Okay. You have to be willing to take the leap from shedding these old identities, the beliefs that maybe your colleagues have given you, charity headlines and philanthropy articles and have given you, LinkedIn has given you, right? You have to be willing to shed those and jump into courageous action for yourself. You have to be the one that creates that inside of you. You can do that with the support of a coach, but you have to take the leap in order to get heroic results for your mission, for your organization. You have to be the own hero in your story. So many of you will come to me and tell me all the things through a negative set of glasses. It's like putting on glasses and telling me all of the things. This is down, this is bad, this staffer left, this. How are you going to step up and be the hero in your own story? Because I'm not saying that's not true. Okay. I'm saying, how do we want to get you out of that? I wrote an email today about digging yourself out of a hole, right? Where you're like, okay, our revenue needs to be up here, but it's not. We have more demand than we have supply or funding for our programs or services. How are you going to show up? How would you show up if you're going to be the hero in your own story? What would that inner monologue sound like? And you can tell me in the chat if you're like, I'd probably self-talk. I'd probably talk this way. Or even to my staff, I'd probably talk this way. Or even to a prospect, I'd probably talk this way. It would start with, unlocking your voice of expert authority. Okay. So many times I'll get emails from nonprofits, or even I'm staring at a pile of direct mail appeals right in front of me. And minus the logo, minus the name of the organization and the cause, they sound pretty much the same. Who here has experienced that? Like the nonprofit newsletter or appeal, where they sound pretty interchangeable. Yeah. And I get it, right? It's like this safe zone. It's easy to say safe, right? Because it's hard. It takes courage and imperfect action to really step into your expert voice of authority. And a lot of times, who does this, if they do it at all, is our ED. And I love it when our ED does it. But I also want to say, let your programs person do it. Let them write an email. Let your marketing or comms or development person, like, we want to get to know them too. And you have to be willing to give your staff, or if you're the staffer, ask for some wiggle room in letting yourself unlock that voice of authority. Where do you, stepping into your own expertise in your niche. Okay. On board with a hero, but often becomes doing too much, burnout, martyrdom. Yeah, we'll talk more about that for sure. Thinking with purpose. Okay. So it takes more effort. Here's the thing. It does take more effort to rewire your thoughts instead of the default ones, which is like, I'm bad, this is hard, I don't have enough time, I feel burnout. That takes more time, or that's easier because those are default. Like, your brain is super duper practice at thinking them. I know mine was. I'm a bad writer, right? It takes more effort to actually think with purpose, but when you do, the results are fire. The results are what have been missing. I was telling a client yesterday that it's a lot like your default is like getting in the car and going for a Sunday drive. And like, yeah, you were in the car driving for an hour and you didn't really get anywhere, which is fine if it's a Sunday drive. But if it's a Monday drive and you're like driving for an hour, you're frustrated when you didn't get to your destination. When you think thoughts with purpose and intention, it's like plugging it into a GPS. And it's like, that's what's been missing in our visibility. That's what's been missing in our funding. So this is also what we do in the club. We enjoy the process, not just the product. Because the other piece that I see is our revenue's up year over year. Our donor base is up year over year. It's great. It's good. And I also feel pretty awful. I feel burnt out. I feel like somebody keeps moving the goalpost. I feel like right after I ended a campaign, I've started another one and there is no rest in between. I feel like I haven't thanked a donor. I haven't thanked a sponsor. I haven't thanked the important people that I want to thank, because I'm on to the next one. If that's you, give me a one in the chat, because that is that cycle of burnout that we see, right? And we see that when we're carrying that heaviness with us, right? And we're not building in the rest time. We're not building in the time off. We're not building in the boundaries, which is, no, I'm not going to respond to this on the weekend, right? Or I am going to allow breathing through the fundraisers. I love the amount of ones. Yes. Okay. So my light bulb moment was this: as a consultant, as a coach, working for nonprofits, working alongside so many of you, helping you raise and reach millions. I can give you every resource in the book to make millions. I can give you templates. I can give you pre-written copy, scripts, calendars, graphics, video training. Y'all know many of you here have taken some of my self-paced courses, my self-study courses, right? That have all of this, but that is only half of it. That is only half of what you need to succeed, because I don't want you to grow 3% this year. I don't want you to break even this year. I want you to have quantum leaps this year. Okay. $1 million success, sustainable growth requires daring action, and daring action requires courage. Like, it's not going to feel good getting your funding from $500,000 to $750,000. It's not going to feel like, well, that was super duper fun. It's not going to feel easy breezy. It's going to feel expansive. But when you realize that's the process, and when you treat yourself through that expansion kindly and have a soft place to land when you fail, when you have support, of, hey, that meeting didn't go how I wanted, or that fundraiser did not go how I wanted, so that you have a soft piece to land and get up quicker, faster, and stronger. That's how you go from 500 to 750. Does that make sense? You guys with me? So the piece that I see is that oftentimes people will come to me and say, I tried a street team, I tried a monthly giving program, I've tried I don't know, right? And their version of trying is, I've tried this one time and it was such a grind through the process. And after the process, I didn't want to even think about doing it again because I was so self-critical that I put my feelings on a shelf, never to decide that it didn't work, never to try it again. Okay. So you want to make sure that as you're growing, that you're saying to yourself, I realize that my growth, my success is going to be built on fails, period. My business has, the organizations that have scaled past 1 million have. There are failures all along the way, and those literally are the stepping stones to success. Okay. So I want to teach you this profit and impact flywheel. This flywheel is an approach that I came up with that took everything I've taught you up until this point and really helped to like solidify it. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways you can use this flywheel, where we're going to use you as the leader, fundraiser, marketer, major gifts officer, or we're going to stick your prospect in the flywheel. Okay. So we're going to, whether that prospect is an influencer, an ambassador, a monthly donor, a major donor, we're going to stick them in the center. All right. This flywheel is how you can fast track your funding in 3 steps. Okay. So let's go over the 3 steps of this flywheel: motivate, accelerate, and celebrate. That's it. Motivate, accelerate, celebrate. Those are 3 simple phases. Okay. Yes, I'm glad it's resonating. Awesome. Okay, so here's phase 1, motivate. You know you are in phase 1 and need to access that if you're saying things like, I don't have time. If you're saying things like, I don't know what to say, or I've already tried. If that's what that inner dialogue sounds like, that's when you know I'm in phase 1. Okay, I need to activate motivation to get over this hump. The time piece is really an interesting one because the amount of time we spend ruminating, whether it's inwardly or outwardly, telling ourselves, I don't have time, I'm so busy, I don't have time, is actually why we don't have time. The amount of time we spend in over preparing for a meeting, rereading the draft of an email, appeal, social piece, re-editing is why we don't have time, because you're stretching out your decision making because you want everything to be perfect. Okay. That's the time piece. So instead, you could say to yourself, this isn't about me. This is about helping the people my mission serves. Okay. We shift our thoughts with intention to activate motivation. Or if you feel totally overwhelmed, I can call one donor today. I can send one email today. I can send one text right now. Like really drilling it down. Anyone who feels really just like that complete overwhelm, I get that. Then it's like, how do I simplify this to the first next best step? That's it. And I can do one thing. And then we go, and then we go, and then we go. But the piece is when you hear, and this is the soft place to land piece, okay? When you hear a no or any form of rejection or any form of a fail, you've got to be willing to stay back in motivation and again, keep going. Because many of us freeze in that moment, right? Because it's like, that felt terrible. I never wanted to feel that again. Or we overthink it. Well, what are 1,000 different ways I can prevent that from happening in the next meeting, right? No. And we go, and we go, and we go. That's how you get your time back, by the way. So I can send one email. I can call one donor. I can channel some main character energy to activate possibility, courage, and commitment. Yeah, like that is how it works, is really stepping into, and I do this anytime that it requires me to go, all right, I'm putting myself out there. What are some habits that I can create in my own schedule, right? to activate that possibility, that curiosity, that commitment. Okay. I have an episode on my podcast where we go into this a little bit further, and I'm happy to share that with you after this. All right. Phase 2, accelerate. Okay. Accelerate is, Christina, we need this faster. I don't have a lot of time, not only externally, but like we have a wait list for our programs or services. We really need to get more revenue, more eyeballs, more visibility, whatever it is. We need to get there faster. Time is your most precious resource. Okay. We can accelerate your results when you're in phase or step 2. Okay. So that answers the question, how do we get there faster? And that is really all about removing friction. You with me? Type a 1 in the chat if you're like, okay, I'm with you. All right. Now, phase 3 is celebrate. Now, phase 3 is the lowly, forgotten phase for our sector. Celebration is gratitude. And I'm talking about in all 3 of these steps that we've gone through is the you. We're putting you in it, okay? When was the last time you celebrated you? Not your donor, you. Celebration is gratitude. And I don't mean for like, we exceeded our goal, we doubled our campaign. I just mean, damn, I did that courageous, hard thing, or I got it done today. I killed it today. When was the last time you did that? That's phase 3. And celebration does not have to be like, a parade and a party and balloons and streamers. Celebration is inward honoring. I did that. That was hard. I got it done. It is so easy to feel burnout. It is so easy to see that staff churn when we are not celebrating. Okay. So churn, burnout, overwhelm are symptoms of missing step 3. Yeah. Here's the thing about the flywheel. You actually can start at any step. So you may say to yourself, I am motivated. I get up, I do my thing, I journal, I get to work, and it's still not working. All right. You're not in the motivation step. Okay. You can start anywhere in the flywheel. Okay. Many of you may be in the accelerate step where it's like, how do we get our results faster? Now I want to go through this whole piece with putting the prospect in the center. Okay, so your prospect may be a donor, your prospect may be a street teamer, so a digital ambassador. It can be, maybe you're launching a monthly giving program, or maybe you have one like many of my clients, and there's like 7 people in it, right? So how do we use the flywheel to motivate and inspire prospects into action? You can use the flywheel for this, okay? So this works because instead of being stuck in a cycle of low revenue and low impact and low belief and overwhelm and burnout, the Profit and Impact Flywheel builds your muscle of $1 million thinking. Okay. So when we put the prospect in the center, we go through that same piece and we say, what would motivate them to take action? What would inspire them to take action? Where are they missing? Why are they taking action once a year? Okay, how do I get them to take action quicker, faster? What are some friction pieces in their journey? And then the gratitude piece is huge too, because oftentimes we think, well, they get the letter, they get a note, but what is really a way that you can create a conversation, a scalable conversation where they feel part of a community, they feel part of your cause, where they feel like they actually are moving the needle and helping shift and shape their community? That's celebration. Okay. That's $1 million thinking. $1 million thinking is believing it's going to work and fighting for that reality. Many times, the default way of thinking is believing it won't work and fighting for that reality and without even realizing it. Okay. This is so hard. I've tried it already. I don't know what else to do. I was hosting a coaching call or info session about the club for some of my past students. And I gave them this prompt and I said, if you had to make $5,000 this month, what would you do? And tell me in the chat, what would you do? You had to make $5,000 this month, this week. What would you do? 5,000. The biggest response that I heard was, I don't know. Okay, Brownie says, okay, call 2 of my faithful donors, go to the board. Okay. And I will say, if your organization is, $500,000 or higher, make the number higher, make it 50,000. Okay. For this exercise. Find a sponsorship, ask a major donor, board first. Okay. Call a board member. Great. All right. I'm adding friction now. What if you had to make 50? Reach. Okay, great. So I heard a lot of I don't knows in this coaching session. I released it on the podcast today. So you guys need to go listen to it. So I heard, I don't know. And then what I did is I said, if you were going to get a call from the IRS or government, wherever you're registered, and they said, in order to keep your nonprofit status, you've got to make that 50K. Then what would you do? And wouldn't you know, she got scrappy. She said all the things you're saying in the chat. What she actually said was, I would ask everyone. I would ask everyone. And I said, why aren't you doing that now? Why aren't you doing that now? And the answer was this piece of like, but I don't know. I feel nervous. I feel scared. I don't know if it was going to work. Go to bat believing it's going to work. Go to bat that you could make it possible. Go to bat for that relentless optimism. You might have gotten an email from me where I talked about Oprah and Sarah Blakely. And who knows Scott Harrison? Who knows him? He's our nonprofit celebrity. Yeah. Yeah. They have relentless optimism. They not only plug in their GPS how they want to think on purpose, they believe it's going to work. Okay. The only reason Sarah Blakely is a self-made billionaire who made, pantyhose is because she believed it was going to work. Because she had boatloads of people tell her, this is a terrible idea. No, I won't help you. How could you waste your time? She's a billionaire now. You have to go to bat for believing it's going to work. And when somebody says to you, terrible idea, it's a no, you have to have a soft place to land and keep going. Yeah. Okay. So people know, yeah, Scott Harrison, Charity Water founder. They're $100 million organization now. I was looking them up last night, $100 million. Who knew that? $100 million. They're a perfect example of an organization that said, we're not doing it the old way. We're not following all the nonprofit rules. Back when Twitter was Twitter in the early 2000s, they used Twitter to really get their visibility out there. Yeah. And it worked. There's somebody who really understands an ambassador program and the importance of influencers, right? So $1 million thinking looks like faster decision-making. I'm glad you said that. Nancy said, and they are openly saying they are self-scaling. They are transparent. Yeah. They're like, we're not done yet. We have not reached our goal. That's not even their goal. We're not done yet. That's that expert authenticity and authority. So faster decision-making, kind self-talk, especially after rejection. That's right. So even when you hear the no's, you say to yourself, that wasn't personal. That was a no based on this ask. It's fine. We keep going. I want everybody to have their beacon, whether it's an Oprah, a Sarah, a Scott, a Beyonce, like whoever your person is. And I want you to go, okay, when I feel wobbly, who can be my main character energy that I can lean on and pull from and get inspired by when I hear a no? Because I know doors were slammed in all of their faces, 100%. Multiple doors, multiple phones were hung up on, right? More than multiple, probably hundreds, thousands, right? Questioning your beliefs you used to think were facts. If there's one thing that you get out of today's training, I wish it was this for you, because this will change your results. This will speed up where you want to be. Okay. So when you think things like, well, Christina, individual giving is down. Okay. Who's thought that? Because there was some article that came out, some report, individual giving is down. Or people can't donate like they used to. Write a true or false. People can't donate like they used to. All right. Homework assignment. Start to notice the internal chatter you think, the external chatter that staff members, friends, coworkers, community members just say like it's true, and start to go, does that thought, do those beliefs move me forward to where I want to be? Do they keep me stuck or do they move me backwards? And what thoughts and beliefs do I want to think instead? I think the Ikea experiment is such a beautiful, like tangible, illustrative example of the power of how we think and the power of taking the extra effort to redirect and rethink with purpose. See you next time. Like what you're hearing and want to take this to the next level? I want to invite you to go to purpose purposeandprofit.club to watch my free class. In there, I will tell you the number one thing that's keeping your nonprofit or social impact business stuck and what to do instead. Go to purposeandprofit.club. Think you've reached out to everyone in your network? Are you out of ideas to get noticed and get funded? I hear you. That's why I'm giving you a chance to steal my prospect list. Yes, you can generate leads for your nonprofit or impact-driven business. Grab my mini training and list delivered to your inbox instantly. Go to splendidcourses.com/prospect.